in the shadows. I see them on my brain.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's your girl, No Mercy here. It's Tuesday night, so you already know what time it is. It's time for No Punches Pulled with me, No Mercy. Some of you probably already know who I am. For those of you that don't or are new, I'm your host, Brooke Millbrook, formerly known in the fight game, though, as Brooke No Mercy Dierdorff. I am a retired professional boxer, held the WBC lightweight title until I retired, and was inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame 2022. I've been through some good, some bad, and of course, lots of BS in this sport of women's boxing. Welcome to my platform. This is where we talk the talk, and of course, we walk the walk here. We bring out the truth in women's boxing. We talk to pioneers of the sport, past boxers, current boxers, even future boxers. We do get down and dirty here, though, and speak the truth of what takes place in women's boxing. You don't want to miss a single episode, so please make sure you like, subscribe, and you share. Let people know to join us every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful holiday. More holidays to come. But tonight we are sitting down with yet another boxing icon, Hall of Famer, Jaime the Hurricane Clampitt-Hayes. Jaime began her boxing career at the age of 16 after getting bored with gymnastics after 8 years of training. Her mom told her to flip through the yellow pages in the phone book and pick a sport. That's all for us old heads know what the phone book is and the yellow pages. All you new heads probably don't even know what we're talking about, but hey. So she flipped through the book. First sport she came to, of course, was boxing. So that's what she told her mom she wanted to do. Of course, like so many of us females, she wasn't taken seriously, but her dad did take her to a local boxing gym, not expecting her to last throughout the day. But boy, was he mistaken. She fought as an amateur for 7 years, during which she won numerous local titles and regional titles. She was chosen for the Canadian national team, and she had a very impressive amateur career with a record of 25-6 before turning pro in 2000. Jaime went 12-2 before winning her first world title on October 31st, 2003. She stepped in the ring with yet another boxing icon and Hall of Famer, Eliza Olsen, who was 6-1-1 at the time, winning the IWBF Super Lightweight title. Just her next fight out on March 27, 2004, she won the vacant NABA Junior Welterweight title by TKO. Skip ahead a few years, 2007, she won a unanimous decision over Mia St. John for the IWBF Lightweight title. June 20th, 2007, won a unanimous decision in the rematch with Jane Couch for the IWBF Junior Welterweight title. She has been in the ring, like so many of us, with the best of the best names. You all know them. A few just to name: Olivia Garula, Dominga Olivia, Holly Holmes, Jill Emery, Belinda Laraquente, Jane Couch, Mia St. John, Melissa Florentini, Eliza Olsen. The list goes on and on for all those pioneers of those big names. But after a spinal nerve injury during her fight against Holly Holm in 2010, she had called it quits, or so we thought she had called it quits. But however, returned to the ring once again in 2013. In 2020, she was inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame, considering my Hall of Fame sister. Since being inducted, though, into the Hall of Fame, she has begun a remarkable comeback to the sport of women's boxing starting in 2021 with 3 wins, only 1 loss and 1 draw, winning her last 2 fights this year at the age of 47. Please help me welcome in Jaime the Hurricane Clampitt-Hayes to the show. What's up, champ? Thank you so much for joining me. It's such a pleasure to have you on. It's like I said, it's been probably decades since I've seen you last in person, but how have you been?
I've been great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor to, like I said, to sit down and talk to every single one of my fellow fighters and hear their stories. It's just exciting, and to share the stories that people just don't really know, because there wasn't much spotlight for us back in the day, especially. So it's nice to be able to sit down and actually tell our stories.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we always kind of start off first, take us back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and how you got started with boxing.
So I grew up in Saskatchewan, Canada, and small town. And like you said, I was a gymnastics background. When I was 15, I actually, I had an injury in gymnastics and decided just to find something new. And boxing was the first thing that came up in the phone book. The first time I went to the gym, I think that was like the first time a woman had actually been inside the gym, because at that time they would have women wait downstairs, if they were picking up their sons or whoever. So I was the first woman in the gym. I was the second female registered in Canada. So it was kind of shocking. I don't think I really knew what I was getting into at the time. I just thought, yeah, boxing, this sounds fun.
Yeah.
And from day one, I was hooked. So I knew exactly, that was where I was meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. What's up, Bonnie? Bonnie Man is in the house. She is one of the best, Bonnie. So are you, though.
Mhm.
So are you. You did have quite an impressive long career for amateurs back then. I mean, I only had 13 amateur fights because there just weren't very many fights. So you did have a pretty extensive amateur career. Can you tell us about some of your favorite fights or memories from your amateur days?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I started boxing in, I think it was 92, as an amateur. And, I was really lucky because I did go into that gym where there weren't any females. Some of the people did not accept me and actually quit the gym. But I had a great coach, from the start. And, he got me in the ring right away. The Canadian Boxing Association had always been a huge supporter of women's boxing, and they really started their program earlier, than a lot of other countries. So we always had that opportunity to travel. So, being on the Canadian team, we traveled to Sweden and Finland and, the United States. And we were really fortunate because they put so much effort into female boxing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got a lot of experience through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, back in the day, especially females and it being so new, weren't always welcome in the gym.
Hmm.
Is there any particular memories you can think of that were just like really bad experiences for you at the gym when you first started?
I think like I remember, so my first fight, I did fight very soon after I started, which as a coach now, I would never ever put that, in anyone in that early, male or female. But it was kind of funny because, my coach, awesome human, like he was so good to me, but he didn't really know what to do with me. And there was another female. So he's like, you're a girl and she's a girl, like you guys should fight. I
Yeah.
I don't think we had a weight class because she was a lot bigger than me. And I think, before that, I actually never really got hit. So I went into my first fight, I'm from Saskatchewan, like farming community, hockey community. The girl had a mullet, it was like tough, like Canadian Saskatchewan girl, farm girl. And she beat the crap out of me because I don't think I ever learned, I learned like a left and a right, and that was it.
Yeah.
So, just,
That sounds
we,
so familiar.
yeah, they didn't know what to do with us. So they just kind of threw us in there.
Yeah.
And, after my fight, it was, like the Saskatchewan provincials or something. I remember it was on a Sunday. I went home, cried my eyes out because I got beat up in front of a bunch of people and watched Rocky. And then I went back to the gym the next day, like on a
Mhm.
Monday. So, I was not like the toughest kid. I would say I was a little bit of a tomboy, but like I said, I came from gymnastics background. So I think I had a bit of the athleticism, but I wasn't the toughest kid. But I think then like that gave me a little credibility in the gym, and a lot of people respected me,
Yeah.
men, because it was only men at that point, respected me. They're like, oh, this girl really, really wants to do this.
Yeah. Because you showed back up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
was there the next day. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely. And
And
that's funny.
fishing.
Yeah,
As a kid.
absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned hockey. And here's something I learned when I was reading up, obviously a little bit more digging for the interview. And your dad, if I'm not mistaken, played for the Chicago Blackhawks.
So he played on the farm team. So
Okay,
he was
so
like,
I'm like,
yeah,
how did I
so
not know that? I'm from Chicago. I mean, I fought out of Chicago. I didn't live in Chicago, the
yeah.
suburbs, but like I'm a Blackhawks fan. I'm like, how did I not know that?
Yeah, yeah. So my dad, at a young age, he was playing hockey and he got the opportunity to play on one of the farm teams in Chicago. So he left Canada and went and played with them, and then later on played with a Canadian team after he left them. But yeah, he loved it, and
Gosh.
I think it's just something that stuck with me is just the work ethic that he taught me as an athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And it definitely runs in the family. But you did make your pro debut in 2000. You went 12 wins, only 2 losses before winning your very first world title in 2003 against another huge boxing icon,
Mhm.
Eliza Olson, inducted in the Hall of Fame with me last year. You won the IWBF super lightweight title. Tell us a little bit about that first fight with her and what it felt like to win your first title.
So, fighting Eliza was interesting. She, oh my gosh, she is like one of the toughest women out there, I'm telling you. So the first fight, it was kind of a brawl, I would honestly say. And at the time, my beloved like first trainer that I had in the United States, Tiny Richie, was training me, and it was just crazy. Like it was such a crazy fight, and you know there was a lot of headbutts, and it was a really nasty fight. And then after, we actually kind of had words in the dressing room after, and just a crazy experience. But obviously, I was super proud and grateful that I won the fight, and
Yeah.
she was such a great competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just saw her a couple of years ago, and it was amazing to see her. We
Yeah.
were both at a tournament, but yeah, it was a crazy fight. She's seriously one of the toughest women I think I've ever met in the ring.
She her style is fierce. She's very
Yeah.
fierce for sure.
Hmm.
I like I said, I hadn't met her. I had the pleasure of meeting her at the inductions, obviously last year because we were inducted the same year. But
Yeah.
yeah, phenomenal woman, phenomenal woman. Spent some time with her, but yeah, she was definitely fierce, definitely a
Yeah.
fierce fighter.
Yeah.
Good evening, Bruce. Thank you and welcome to the show. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I will make sure and ask her for you. Though back to that though, March of 2004, you did add the NABA junior welterweight title with a TKO victory over Lilana Ellis. Tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about that. 2 fights, 2 titles back to back. That had to be awesome.
Yeah, that was a great experience for me because I believe that was on the Vinny Paz undercard at Foxwoods, and she was great. But Vinny was one of my heroes
Yeah.
from my amateur days. I remember reading about him in like a Ring magazine, and then getting the opportunity to meet him, and then from there we got to train together. And that was his retirement fight. So just being on that card, and it was everything was so hyped and so exciting, and then winning with the TKO was just unbelievable. So that
Yeah.
was like probably one of my favorite memories as in my career.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Vinny, yeah, another phenomenal fighter.
Hmm.
And that's awesome that it was his like farewell fight that you get
Yep.
to fight on, and then work with him in the future. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites for sure, from back in the day. They just all have so much talent. You really just
I know.
you can't just pick one thing. They're
No.
all amazing. Just
Yeah.
like
And
from
I
Rhode
with
Island.
Yeah, with Vinny, it was cool because I got to train with him. And that was his last fight. And I would say like that training camp, like, I was in great shape. I've always like tried to keep myself in good shape. I think he might have been 40 at that time or close to 40.
Yeah,
And he outworked everybody in the gym. And that's where I really saw like what the next level was. Like it was one fight, one training camp, but I just learned so much,
Yeah.
from seeing him train, because he was incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you put in the work, you put in the dedication, and you get everything you got, it makes a huge difference for those that just kind of slack off and just do enough.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference for sure. Bruce said he's listening from Rhode Island. My homie.
Your
Well,
homie.
thank you, Bruce. I don't know if you know Bruce. I don't know you, Bruce, but thank you for joining the show.
Hi, Bruce.
That's a pleasure. Though June, another kind of maybe tough subject for you, but June 12th, 2004, huge name. Everybody knows her, Jane Couch.
best.
Yeah, defending your 2 titles. You did dedicate that fight to your trainer, Tiny, who had just recently passed away. Unfortunately, had to been extremely tough for you to continue on with the fight under those circumstances. You came up a little bit short on the scorecards, but it was an extremely close fight. I'm assuming, I know Jane, phenomenal fighter, great fight between the two of you, but the loss had to probably play a little bit of a big role for the outcome of that fight.
Yeah, like Jane Couch is one of my all-time female favorite fighters of all time. Like she's so amazing, and I can say so many great things about her because she's taught me so much as a boxer. But that was really difficult. The day before I went up to Foxwoods for the weigh-in, I was with my trainer who was, he was it was just, oh my God, it was so hard to see him there because he was just such a strong, powerful man, and he was a huge presence in my life, and I knew that it was going to be soon. And he had been in the nursing home like a few weeks before that, so I went to see him the day before the weigh-in, and he actually passed away, and they didn't tell me until the weigh-in. So that was really hard. I found out at the weigh-in that he passed away, and we just had such a special relationship from the start. And it was heartbreaking, but I knew, I had to fight. I was there to fight, and I was there for a job. Jane was amazing, and it was a great fight. I think we won like female fight of the year that year.
Yeah, you did.
I don't remember like 1 second of the fight.
Yeah.
It was kind of a blur for me. But it just kind of shows, like, when you go through, it's amazing to me to see, like, when people go through traumatic experiences like that, they can still carry on. They find a way. And I think that was the big lesson with that fight. Like, I'd been through something so devastating, and I still got in there, and I did my best. And
you did.
It was heartbreaking, but at the end of the day, I was really mourning the loss of my friend and my trainer and my mentor.
Yeah, absolutely. And he would have wanted you to fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Bruce once says, was that for the Tucker Pudwell fight?
No.
Bruce.
Yeah, that was when Vinny fought Tucker, is when I fought Laney Ellis. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, it was Bruce.
Yeah, but the Jane Couch fight, I can't even remember who the main event was for that fight.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Tiny. Absolutely. But yes, good memory there, Bruce. I did not know who he was fighting in that fight. So yes, though, 2004, we're going to go a little bit ahead. You got a much anticipated rematch with Eliza for the vacant IWBF light welterweight title. But this time you guys fought to a 10-round draw. What do you feel was different in the rematch versus the first fight when you won unanimous?
So that fight, I broke my hand, I think, in about the second or third round. One thing about Eliza Olsen is she has a very hard head. I remember hitting her with a right hand, and my hand blew up right away, and it was difficult to fight her. But
especially that early.
Oh my God, she was just relentless. And I think looking back, like with hurting my hand, I had hand surgery after that fight. I'm lucky that it could have gone a lot worse. I think the draw was fine, I'll take it, but you know, because she was such like a tough, experienced boxer.
Yeah.
And I feel fortunate that at that time, I
Right.
think I feel fortunate I got the draw.
Yeah. And you've broken your hand a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember which other fight, but two or three times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I fought Missy, I broke my
You went
hand.
to,
I've
yeah.
had 2 hand surgeries. And then I just actually broke it. I think it was last year. I broke my wrist. So I've had, I've had
Goodness.
definitely a lot of hand issues over the
Yeah.
years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He kind of like Floyd with all his hand injuries and mess. Like what? But you're still
Yeah.
doing it though. You're still doing it.
I'm still doing it, and it's every day is, especially at almost 48, every day is an experience. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
Um, though right back to back after that recovery from the hand surgery, August 2005, once again won the IWBF lightweight title. TKO again over Shelby Walker.
Mhm.
How was that fight with Shelby? She was another good fighter.
Yeah, she was a great fighter. And, that was a fight I was really nervous about. She was training with Livingstone Brambo, who was, again, like, I was a fan of. He was an incredible fighter. So that I think she was no, no, that was Summer De Leon. She was training with, oh my God, I can't remember, but he was an Olympian.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up. Yeah, because Summer De Leon was with Livingstone. But I know her.
Michael, let me know who her trainer was.
Yeah, she was, and like I said, Shelby was very tough at the time. She was very well respected,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember being very nervous for that fight, and I trained so hard for that fight because I was like, this is going to be a really tough fight for me.
Yeah. Yeah. But TKO victory, you can't beat that. Another title in the works. A common opponent we have February 2007. You won again the IWBF lightweight title, defeating Mia St. John via unanimous decision. I fought her twice, so I know her well.
Yep.
Tell us about your fight with Mia. How did that one play out for you? If I remember right, your fight was pretty similar to when I fought her, like the same style.
So that was, for me, probably one of the biggest fights, I would say, besides maybe Jane Coach. When I first turned pro, I remember telling my trainer in Canada, I'm gonna fight Mia St. John someday. And he's like, oh, I don't know, I don't know if we can make that fight, whatever. But that was really, I respected Mia. Like,
Yeah.
when she started boxing, she was okay, but she worked really hard and became a really talented, skilled boxer.
She
And I
did.
don't think for many years that she got that credit. And then she started beating people, and people are like,
Yeah.
oh wow, she's not like, in the beginning with the Playboy and everything, it was kind of a sideshow. But
Yeah.
then she started to prove herself because you could see she put the work in.
Yeah.
Mia, I honestly say, like, I read about her, and I think her story is fascinating.
It
She's
is.
been through a lot in her life, but at that time she was tough to deal with. We had an issue with the gloves. So in California for a title fight, they had to wear 10-ounce gloves, and in Rhode Island we wore 8-ounce gloves. So
Mhm.
she, at the fight, like minutes before the fight, she's like, I'm not fighting. Yeah, I don't know if I should be telling this story.
No, we tell it all here.
But it happened many years ago. But yeah, so she I don't know if there was an issue with the contract or if she just didn't know. But in Rhode Island for a title, it's 8-ounce gloves. California is 10. So she, like I said, I'm gloved up, I'm ready to go. She's like, I'm not fighting. So I think she got a little bit of extra money to come out, because we were the main event, which was great as a female at that time.
Absolutely.
There weren't a lot of female, and
No.
I have to say, like, my promoter, Jimmy Birchfield, who still promotes me after, like, I think I'm his longest fighter for 20 years.
Yeah.
At that time he believed in female boxing, and, the place was sold out, and we put on a great show. But yeah, she wasn't coming out, and she got few extra bucks, and,
I'm sure she
went
did.
out there, and it was a great fight. I think I won every round, 10 round, but I give her so much respect, and she's somebody who really worked from the bottom and worked her way up. And
She did.
it wasn't, I don't know if it was her plan to go that far with boxing, but she put the work in and she beat a lot of great fighters.
She absolutely did. Yeah, she did. I mean, like you said, the beginning was a little bit sketchy with the Playboy. It kind of came out like a circus, and
Yeah.
here we go. Like this is why everybody thinks that we're not fighters and we can't do this and that. But she did put in the work, and she definitely earned her nickname, and she earned the respect of people. That she actually really was a very smooth, talented fighter. She had
Yeah.
really, really good defense, really good footwork.
Mhm.
She did. She did earn that. Like I said, I mean, I fought her two different times, and I got two different versions of her. So I mean, it was kind of nice because the second fight she fought totally different than she fought the first fight. But yeah, she definitely proved herself in the sport for sure.
Yeah.
And her whole story definitely is very inspiring with everything she's been through.
Mhm.
I still follow her all the time and all her stuff that she's doing. So wish her nothing but the best, of course. You did in 2007, exciting rematch you got with Jane Couch, winning unanimous though this time for the IWBF Junior Welterweight title. How satisfying was that win for you, and how different do you feel you performed than the first fight?
Obviously very satisfying, and for many reasons. I think first of all, just to with the first fight, going through everything I went through, I felt like I wasn't 100%, and I never. It was always like, you know, did she really beat me? Did she beat the best version of me? I don't know. I did switch trainers at that point, so that was my first fight was with Mia, with my new trainer, and my second fight was with Jane. So I felt like I was learning a lot of new stuff, and I changed up my style a little bit. And then I would say the third reason it was so satisfying was because Mia came up to me after the fight, or sorry, Jane, and said to me, "You have improved so much, and I'm so proud of you." And
Yeah.
like I was such a fan of Jane Coach that for her to say that to me was just that was like just so amazing, because I
Yeah.
really admired her, and I just she was one of the best at that time, and I for her to say that was the
Yeah,
best
and
thing
that's
ever.
so funny that I love that you said that, because I don't know why, but me and Chevelle are very close.
Mhm.
Ever since we met at a fight show in California. But I was so nervous because she was like one of my idols. Like I
Yeah.
always looked up to her. And so when we first met, I laughed because I am by no means shy and I'm pretty forward. But I was pretty speechless the first time I met her because I was so freaking nervous. Like I didn't even know what to say. And it's funny because now we're extremely, like, I consider her like family.
Mhm. That's
But
awesome.
she told me for the first time when I interviewed her on the show not too long ago, and we were talking about at that fight where I met her, she was like, "Oh, like you want to go spar?" Like we were out there early, we still could work out or whatever. And she's like, "You want to go get some rounds in?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we go spar or whatever. And I mean, she's so slick. I mean, you know her style. So it's not
Yeah.
very easy to hit her, especially with my style and her style. But I landed some shots on her, and she told me, she's like, "You're actually probably one of the hardest hitters I ever sparred or worked with
Oh my
outside of
goodness.
men." And I said, "What?" And I've known you how long? And you're just now telling me this? But it just meant a lot. I mean, granted, it
Mhm.
was how many years later that she told me that, but like it made me feel good inside coming
Yep.
from someone so talented as her. So
Yeah.
yeah, that it
That's
just makes you
awesome.
light up inside. You're just like,
Mhm.
wow, like I impressed them. That makes me feel almost better than anything else.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
and it's
awesome.
crazy too, just like because you're in the ring with these people, and you're trying to win, or if you're sparring, you're trying to get the
Yeah,
better of them. And they just show you so much love and respect, and
absolutely.
that's really what the sport is about.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially back then, I think more so then than I think as today. I don't think the
Mhm.
fighters are quite the same today as they used to be, but we
Yeah.
all looked out for each other. Granted, if we were fighting in the ring, it's business, but outside of that, we were all happy to help one another,
Right.
and cheer for one another, have their backs, work with them, teach them some things. It was never like there's only one fighter that that ever had issues with that. It just there was no way we could be friends back then that I fought. But other than that, everybody, it was like after the fight was over, it was like, hey, you want to go get something to eat?
Yep.
Like, I mean, that's just how everybody was.
It was. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
We're gonna fast forward a few years to your injuries. You did suffer a spinal nerve injury when you fought Holly Holmes in 2010 during the first round. Tell us a little bit about what actually happened, how the injury occurred, and I know you had some serious side effects afterwards,
Mhm.
which after that, obviously put your career on hold for a while.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that fight, I was excited to take the fight. I had a great training camp. I felt so amazing. I think my daughter was, around like 11 or 12 months at that point. So I always wonder like maybe did I come back too soon after having my daughter? I don't know. Um but going into the fight, I was confident. I was ready. The weight, I have to say, was a little suspect when we weighed in. I weighed in pretty light, and we actually never got to see the scale when she weighed in. So that was, yeah, so it's kind of interesting. We had some issue with the hand wraps warming up. But for me, like none of that stuff ever bothered me. I was just, it bothered my team more than it bothered me.
Yeah.
But getting into the ring, I remember, feeling confident, like, you know, even if I can't beat Holly, I know I'm going to give her a good fight,
Yeah.
and, that was an interesting time in my life because I did just have a baby. And, I think, like I said, I think my daughter might have been like a year old at that time. So, anybody who has had kids and went back, it knows like the transition
Yeah.
and you are a little bit different.
Yeah.
But first round getting in there, I remember getting hit with a hook and being like, oh, she doesn't hit that hard. I've always had a pretty good chin. I can take a punch. And then I slipped in because she was a lefty for a body shot and she kind of fell on me.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of went numb. Like the side of my face, my neck, my arm completely went numb. I went down. I thought I dislocated my shoulder in the beginning of it because I have dislocated my shoulder before when I was playing rugby. And I it was just like what the hell is going on? I didn't really understand. Um we went to the emergency room. I actually had, it's like a football injury, it's a stinger. And I was paralyzed for like 2 weeks on my right side. And then I think I was in physical therapy for like up to 6 months after that. So it was devastating at the
Yeah.
time. It took me, I couldn't hold my daughter for a long time. And that was, I think, the hardest part. But it's, looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have come back sooner. But I didn't know. And I
Yeah.
was a young mother, and being a mother is the most important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. And safety. And you got to
Yeah,
think about your kids. Now you got kids you got to think about,
absolutely.
which was why I retired after my second one. Cause I'm like, now I have two and maybe I better just start focusing on being a mom,
Yeah.
which was what made me decide to retire when I did. But yes. And you just don't know. I mean,
No.
it's almost like when I tore my ACL, I was done boxing, but when I tore my ACL playing softball, and I'm like, after that, and I still have never competed in it again, just because
Hmm.
I'm so nervous. Like, I don't want. I'm like, what if it happens again?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Hmm.
always in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
So, and that's probably part of it. And you just didn't know. I mean, that could be a very serious injury, especially feeling paralysis for a couple weeks. And
Yeah.
what if it had been, I mean, there's always a what if it happens and it's permanent. Like, it's
Yeah.
a risk that you don't know if you're ready to take.
Right.
I personally had thought you retired after that. I'm sure with a lot of other people, but you did make one fight come back in 2013.
Hmm.
you did win that fight. I think it was Domingo Olivia.
Domingo, yep.
So was that just like a fluke? You just took the fight out of the blue, or were you starting to come back and then you decided maybe we'll take a little more time off, or what happened there with the break?
So, I didn't really think I was going to come back. I mean, you know just as well as anybody, it's always in you and you can't walk away. So I had my son, and I had been training before that. I was doing like a fitness video and stuff. And my coach and I were like, oh, let's see how this goes, whatever. So we were training, and then he was like, you know what, you should take another fight. I'm like, oh, absolutely. Like I think I'm ready after the Holly fight. It had been a few years. And then of course I found out I was pregnant. So that's not happening. So, I think it was like 8 months after my son was born, I decided I'm like, let's try one more time. So I fought Dominga, and it was a great fight, and I felt really good about it. But it was kind of, with having babies, I had like a toddler and a 8-month-old. It's like, come on, like this is just,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It is. So, it's a lot.
I love my kids to death, and they're always come first. But when you're training, it's you have to be dedicated, and so I did it, and kind of put it out of my head, and then I want to think of the time I was sparring with Shelly Vincent a lot. I just opened my gym with my 3 other partners, and we were sparring a lot. It's about like 5 years ago. And I was sparring, and I was just feeling good, and I looked good, and I had my coach come and meet me. I was like, just come, work my corner. We're just doing it for fun. And that's kind of when I got the bug again, kind of helping her and getting her ready for fights. And, she's a very close friend of mine. I think she's an incredible fighter. And, she always, oh, Jamie, you should get back in there. And I always kind of thought I was too old, but I'm like, I don't feel old. Like,
right.
As long as I don't feel old, why would I stop? So that kind of got me the bug again after coming out of retirement for like the 4th time, 3rd time, whatever it's been.
3rd or 4th time.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, if I could, and I've talked to Michael about this a million times, and everybody, if I could come back and get a big payday, I would 100% do it, but it would take too long.
Right.
Like you had to build yourself back up in the ranks. You had to have like probably 4 or 5 fights before you can even talk about the big money fight. And I'm just like, that's like a couple years in.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at now. So.
Yeah, I mean, now you're getting there now, but I'm just like, oh, dude, I'm 40. How old am I? 42. I had to think about it for a second. So it's possible. I've thought about it many times, but
never say never. That's what
I've got 3 kids. One of them, I'm with 2. I just had one a couple years ago. He's only 2, but yeah. I don't know. I think about it all the time, especially doing this more. Yeah, like talking to everybody. Like, it really.
Well, and I think now too, women are boxing later. I mean, like I look at Bernard Hopkins, he was like incredible into his 50s,
Absolutely.
and just kept himself so healthy. And I think it's definitely a possibility. I get a lot of medicals. I have CAT scans, I have EKGs, I have stress tests, you name it. I have to say Rhode Island Boxing Commission is great because they do, they cover everything with me. Because of my age, and if there was ever anything that came up that was abnormal, of course I would quit. My life is, and my health is the first and most important thing. So
absolutely. Absolutely. My daughter just walked in here. What do you need?
Can you request my thing?
You know I'm doing my show, right? So what is it that's so important that you need right now? She wants me to approve something for her on her phone.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Good.
It's Amy. Maddie, I can't do it right now. I don't even have it. You have to send it to me again. Okay. Love you. Bye. 2020, though, you received a special call I'm assuming you got the phone call. I guess not everybody got a phone call. I found that out talking to some people, but I got a phone call. Sue Fox letting you know you're being inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame class of 2020. I know my phone call was one for my record books. It'll be one I remember till the day I die. But tell us about the phone call for you and how important and what that means to you to have made the Hall of Fame.
So I did not get a phone call.
Is it?
So,
I'm like, did you get an email? Did you get a text? Like, what happened?
So one of my my fighters that I trained forever, still training her, she texted me and said, why wouldn't you tell me that you got inducted in the Women's Boxing Hall of Fame? I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I saw it, on the Women's Boxing website. But yeah, I didn't know. And then from there, we started connecting about the Hall of Fame. But yeah, it was kind of a surprise to me. One of the biggest honors. I was so grateful. It was a COVID year, so we actually got pushed to 2021. We did not have our induction ceremony because we couldn't, but it was just incredible. And, with all the incredible women and, just everybody there to support women's boxing.
Yeah.
One of the great, and I actually had just come out of retirement. So, it was kind of crazy.
You fought the next year.
Yeah. So I had fought Olivia, maybe a few months before we went to, because she was actually at the ceremony.
Yeah.
And it was a few months, but yeah, it was because we fought in June and the ceremony was in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how was your fight with Olivia? Were you guys because you're both from Canada?
Mm-hmm.
I fought Olivia in Canada.
Yep.
I don't think was quite the fair outcome, but you know how we all feel about those travel fights.
Yep.
But tell us a little bit about your fight with Olivia. That's our two common opponents.
Right. Yeah. So my fight with Olivia was my first fight in 8 years. Probably not the best fight to take as coming out of retirement, but I was like, hey, whatever. I think coming out of retirement, I just wanted to see. So I was like, put anybody in front of me. I think I was like 44 at the time, and I just wanted to see. And like I said, I hadn't been in the ring in like over 8 years. So, and she had been active. The day of the fight, it was so hot and humid. It was an outdoor show. Her shoe actually melted as we were fighting, and they had to stop and tape her shoe because it was melting on the canvas. It was like ridiculous. It was like the craziest thing. And then we were before we went into the fight, the dressing rooms were outside. We were outside for hours, like completely dehydrated. Like it was just, nobody predicted, because it was like mid-June or something, that would be the weather in Rhode Island, because it's very uncommon. I had after the fight, I couldn't take my shoes off, and I had the biggest like heat blisters on the bottom of my feet. Like I couldn't walk after the fight because there were so many, like, my blisters. It was just crazy. We fought to a draw. I think it was a tough fight. I think I was fighting the elements more than I was fighting Olivia. Although I think she's an incredible fighter and she's fought everybody and been around, but it was more about the heat. Like it was just ridiculous. And it was like a freak thing. And I'm like, oh, this is so, at that time I was like, what am I doing? Is this what I should be doing? But I just wanted to get right back in there. I felt good. And, coming out of retirement and, starting a second boxing career at 44 is a very different experience compared to starting a career in your early 20s.
Yeah.
You're there for different reasons. You learn different lessons, and it's a different experience. And for me, it was just the fact that I could do it and I was doing it.
Yeah.
And like I like a hair in my mouth. I don't know. I think back to like my younger years when I would lose a fight. Like I would stay in bed for a week, I would be devastated. I looked at things so differently, and now it's just the fact that I'm doing it, I feel blessed. The fact I can still move my body at 47 years old, like,
Right.
the way that I am, and I've had some really good fights since I come out, but, Olivia was another boxer I respected, and just being in the ring with her, and she was wonderful before the fight, and it's nice chatting with her and being
Yeah.
with another fellow Canadian. So that was
Yeah.
a really cool experience.
Absolutely. Michael or Shalito's Way. Yes, we know. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I talk to her from time to time. Hopefully get her on the show. I can't remember when, but I think
Absolutely.
I've got her scheduled later on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, though, at the age of 47, kind of we said close to 48, you have won, though, your 2 fights this year.
Yep.
What's next for you? Who do you want to fight before you officially hang up the glove?
Yeah.
And what's your goals, or like who is it that you want to fight before you do decide to call it quits?
For me, there's so many that I would love to fight. And I feel most comfortable at 130 pounds right now. I think I could go down if I had to. I mostly fought my career at 135.
Yeah.
But I do feel comfortable at 130, and anybody in the top 10, I would be willing to fight at 26, 35, or 30. I'm just really looking at anybody. I think, like you said, like I came out of retirement because women's boxing really changed from, when you and I were there. And
Yeah.
for us, we didn't make a lot of money. I've never really made a lot of money at the sport. I've dedicated my whole life. I own a gym. I train fighters. I train a lot of people at my gym, and this has been my life since I was 15. And I think I deserve a big payday. And I put the time and the work in, and I'm willing to get in there with anyone. I don't think anyone should underestimate me because, I do have experience, and I don't think that my age is an issue. I think I think it benefits me because I have the experience and the maturity and the knowledge that I have.
Yeah.
So,
Also, I don't
like
know
I
about
said,
you, but I'm pretty sure that all of us old heads, we fight a lot different than the new ones.
it was a different time.
It was a
I
whole
don't
different
think
way.
people understand that,
No, they don't. But if enough of us come out of retirement, they will.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I don't know. My husband and I, we talk about this often. Because he was my, he was my trainer after I left Sam Colonna. Then my husband, just because he took over training, and it just worked out better that way. But we talk about this so often about all of the old school fighters just being so gritty, I guess is the word. We all wanted to, 99.9% of us wanted to fight only the best.
Yeah.
And every single fight was like a dog fight.
Yeah.
They were wars. Like they were straight up, like you were on the edge of your seat watching all the fights back then that you could see. And not that the fights today aren't interesting. And some of them are good matchups. Don't get me wrong. I still support women's boxing. I still watch all the fights. But it's just not the same as the fights we used to see.
I think for us too, it's because we had to fight so many things. We weren't just fighting in the ring. We were fighting to get on cards. We were fighting to get into gyms. We were fighting to get trainers, to get attention, to sell tickets. Women's boxing, I think, is great now. Like I love all the up and comers. Katie Taylor is absolutely incredible and has done so much for women's boxing. But
I was talking about that because everybody counted her out. I didn't. I knew for 100% fact she was going to.
Yep.
I told everybody the first fight, there was something wrong with her. She was either sick.
Her face did not.
Even from the moment she walked out of the back, I knew there was something wrong. She wasn't the same, like peppy. She was sick, or something was bothering her, or she might have had an injury. I don't know what it was. But even throughout the fight, She was not herself. She didn't throw the combination. She didn't have the hand speed. She was freaking off. And everybody's like, oh, she's just past her prime. Like, it's time for her to retire. Like, she's done. But not to mention the fact that she went up in weight.
Right.
But I said, no, that wasn't her. And I'm telling you, this fight, she's going to beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And everybody said, no, 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 no. Cameron's too big. Cameron's too strong. Okay. And it went exactly how I thought it was going to go. And just like you said, don't ever count me out. Like,
No.
you don't know me very well. It's the same thing. We talk about this all the time, but you just really got to know boxing in order to. But even the fighters were saying that. I was like, what the hell? Reading the people said, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, how do you know boxing so well? How do you know she wasn't off?
Right. Yeah, you could see it in her face the first fight, and the second fight going into the ring, she just had a different demeanor and a different sense about her. But the thing with Katie is, I've actually I've been able to spar with her, and she's just an incredible, human being, and she's so humble, but she again like works harder than everybody, and I think honestly, like, watching her lose that fight and then come back and win in Ireland was, it was like that Cinderella story. Like, it was just amazing, and it was better than anybody thought it was going to be. And I'm just so proud and, grateful for her and for what she's done for female boxing and continues to do. But, going back to our generation, it's like we never ever would get that opportunity, and it was hard enough for us to get onto shows. And I was consider myself grateful because I had a great promoter, Jimmy Birchfield, who believed in female boxing, but he was one in few. Not many promoters would put us on fights, and it was really, really tough. And I think I fought in like a world title fight in like my 5th fight or something. Like, that's what we did. That's what we did, because otherwise we would never get the opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, my 3rd pro fight was Mia St. John.
Yeah.
He was like 46-5, and I don't even fucking know what her record was, but she had like 50 something fights. And I had 13 amateur fights, and it was my 3rd pro fight.
Yep.
So, I mean, there was no, oh, we're going to remain undefeated and do all this and like build ourselves up. There wasn't an opportunity for that. And then especially after, like, when I fought Mia, they wouldn't approve me to fight anybody. Like, I could only fight top 10 or top 5 fighters after that, because they're like, well, you beat me in St. John.
Right.
So, like, you're on a whole nother level now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still only got 4 fights.
Yeah.
And my next fight after that, I think, was a title fight. I mean, it was just like, it was crazy. Yeah. But like, yes, the thing you were talking about, the money that there is out there now, there never was such a thing as undisputed back then. Like, there was barely even opportunities to fight for titles, let alone multiple titles.
Right.
And then the paydays. I mean, I know you're still fighting, but I've said it a million times because I really don't care anymore. But $4,000 was the most money I ever made, and that was my rematch in Mexico against Mia. And I know she made way hell more than that, but I was the opponent coming in or whatever. She wanted to fight her in Mexico, but there just wasn't anything. We did it because we loved it. Yeah. It wasn't about money or anything else. It was about fighting the best, leaving a mark in the sport, being remembered, and just being great. And if you got a title along the way, that was like a bonus.
Right. Yeah. Again, you didn't get money with the title necessarily either.
No.
And to a point, it still is like that a lot of the times. Like, I would say there's, a handful of women that are making a lot of money. Since I come out of retirement, like, do I make a lot of money? No, I don't. But again, I'm trying to prove something. And I think for me, it is age. I don't want people to write me out, just because I'm 47 doesn't mean I can't, hang in there with some of the best. And, I hope I do want to have 1 or 2 more fights very soon before I turn 48. And I think, I hope I get that opportunity, because I feel that, I started in 92 as an amateur, and I was one of the, the first females in Canada. And I feel like I deserve that chance. And I hope
Absolutely.
somebody, I do, praise Amanda Serrano for giving Heather Hardy that opportunity. And I hope
Yes,
somebody else at that level gives me the same opportunity.
absolutely. Bonnie wants to know, do you have anything upcoming now?
Nope. If anybody can make me a fight, I'm there. I'll be there. I'm ready. I'm ready
Bonnie
to
will
go.
tell your message. She's ready to go. Anybody.
Yep. Yep.
The top people, come
Absolutely.
get her. You nailed it. Gritty heart and determination. That's what we all were back in the day. I'm telling
Yep.
you, it's just not. I'm sorry, ladies of the new era. I'm not saying that some of you are not great fighters, but it's just not the same.
It's
It's not the
different.
same as our era.
Yep.
Women's Boxing Channel, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. He said, hey, Jamie Brooke, fantastic to see Jamie. Pro boxing since 2000 as a pro.
Yep.
Mid 90s. Honored to see you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Let's see. Michael Bonnie, welcome to the show. I knew Katie Taylor would be drastically different as Sandy Ryan told me daily what was happening. Sandy screamed at her to dig deep late spar rounds to increase fitness. Katie Taylor said she was significant to her win. Awesome. I didn't know that Sandy Ryan was working with her, but that's good.
Yeah.
Sandy was definitely a good sparring partner for her. She was living in Dublin with Katie Taylor, her mom, Coach Ross, and manager Brian in the big house. Sparred with her for over 3 weeks. I didn't know that. I guess I didn't see any posts about it, but that's awesome. Sandy definitely was a good add to her training camp for sure.
Yeah. She's a great fighter.
Boston and Dublin. Jamie is ranked 13 on BoxRec, ahead of the likes of Bustos, Carvajal, Hernandez, etc. Amazing woman. She is. She's from our era, Women's Boxing Channel. That's why she's amazing. But we've talked. I mentioned this earlier. You've been in the ring with so many greats. Garula, Olivia, Holm, Emery, Belinda Lara Quente. We can't
Oh
leave
my
her
God.
out.
She's the best.
Jane Couch, Mia St. John. Of course, Melissa Florentini is another amazing woman.
Mhm.
Eliza Olsen, just to name a few of them. Who would you say, though, out of all the people you fought, was your toughest opponent and why?
Oh man. So many. I always go back to Eliza, and I actually had the opportunity to tell her that. Just oh my God, she was just so tough. Like she just was seriously one of the strongest women I've ever met, and meeting her a few years ago we were taking female boxers to a tournament. We were both there, and when she saw me, she was so kind and so sweet, and we kind of discussed war stories, and she was just a tough female, and I have so much respect for her.
Yeah.
And I've been so lucky to fight so many great women. You mentioned Belinda. Like, I think when I saw her at the weigh-in, I was really starstruck because she was another one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to like pull myself together because I had always admired her as one of the greats.
Yeah.
And of course, Jane and Mia.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, because like when we're not too far off in age. I mean, and not too far off. I mean, I went pro in 2006, so
Mm-hmm.
not too much farther behind after you. Of course, we fought our whole careers at the same time, but like meeting some of these people that we saw like before us, but that we're still fighting, and even fighting some of them, it's just an indescribable feeling, really, I guess. To like you said, you really have to focus because you're like, I mean, the first time when I met Mia and we had the first interview, and like with the press conference or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you're just like staring at them because you're like, well, that's really them. The same thing
Yeah.
like when I met Chevelle. I was on an all women's card in California. There were so many amazing fighters on that card. Holly Holmes was there commentating, but there was just so many people there because it was an all women's card. And like to meet them, because we didn't have the opportunities very often to fight with other females on the cards.
Right.
Like, it was very rare. So when you
Yeah.
actually got to meet one, it was special.
Yeah, it was.
Women's Boxing Channel says Jane Couch talks very highly of you.
She's the best.
I'm still trying to get her on the show.
Oh my God. I
I'm
would,
still working on it.
yeah, I pay a lot of money to see that. She
Yeah.
is just one of the most entertaining people, and just, her stories must be incredible because she really
Yeah.
started female boxing in the UK, and she's
She
just an
did.
incredible woman, and just a tough woman, and but always gracious and respectful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm still working on her. Trying to
Soon.
get contacts there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We always talk about on this show. It's pretty much no holds bars in that aspect and the truth about stuff. But all of us females, considering it's a male dominant sport of boxing, have been through a lot of BS, done things or had to go through things that we just shouldn't have to go through if we were men. Can you tell us a little bit of things that you've had to deal with or go through during your career?
I feel in some ways I feel very lucky because I did have a promoter for a long time, and I know that a lot of female boxers never had that opportunity.
Yeah, I
So I
didn't.
think in some aspect I was kind of protected, and like Jimmy still promotes me and he still looks out for my career and for me and my well-being. But I just remember going to shows, and at the weigh-in, you're getting on the scale and all of a sudden everybody's being there looking at you in a bikini. I'm just trying to make weight just like these guys in their underwear,
Yeah.
um, just, I don't know. It was, going back, it was a different time, all of a sudden everybody was so interested in what we were doing. I remember fighting one time, and a guy was like, somebody yelling in the crowd, like, "Oh, take your shirt off," or, just like hearing that,
Yeah.
kind of thing as an amateur and as a pro.
Yeah.
And I think back to like when I was an amateur, I was a kid,
Yeah.
I was
It's just
16,
crazy.
17 years old. I remember fighting at a dinner show, and somebody said, "Take your shirt off." And I'm boxing someone I trained very hard. I took it very
Yeah.
seriously. And just, I think those experiences were always a letdown because, as a female in this sport, we had to work twice as hard, and to have somebody, downgrade and
Yeah.
belittle us like that was really devastating. But again, I had incredible male coaches that supported me and loved me, and my longtime promoter Jimmy, who always fought for me, and he got me on ESPN, he got me on these shows, and I think those great people outweigh the bad people. So I feel very lucky.
Absolutely, for sure. What advice though would you like to give to all the young aspiring female boxers that want to make their mark in the sport, like so many past fighters have?
I think obviously, train hard, be consistent with your training, and be open to training. I think supporting other women and sparring with other women is so important in the sport, and
Especially now.
especially now. Yeah, a lot of women you hear like they won't spar with other people. I'll go spar anybody. Like, I don't care. I'm like, I learn from everybody, and I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing. Like, just keep your eyes wide open and learn what you can, and respect the women in the sport, because male or female, this is a really, really hard sport. And I think getting all the support you can is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, the sparring and stuff now more than ever because there is so many females now
Yep.
available. I mean, we didn't have those opportunities back.
No, I mean, I've sparred with guys up until I think like
Yeah.
2000 and like
Yeah. I mean,
two or
I
something. That was
only
my
sparred with
only sparring
guys.
partners. Yeah.
There was maybe, if I really think hard, maybe twice that I ever sparred with a female. And
Yeah.
one of them was Terry Blair because I met
Oh,
her at the
really?
fight card in California on the
Yeah.
all female card. And my husband and I drove to Kentucky from Illinois just to go spar with her. But
That's
that's
incredible.
only because we met her and my husband and her trainer became really close.
Yeah.
And I still talk to Terry, but yeah, they became really close. And then somehow they worked out this thing where we were going to spar together. And I can still remember it because I felt so bad. I was sick with the flu, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to back because she was getting ready for a fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go back down. So we went up there, but I didn't give her the best work because I was so sick. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
breathe out my nose at all. So it made it's so hard to spar because I couldn't breathe. But yeah, if we still went, it was fun. But yeah, other than that, there just wasn't that many females.
No. And I
Yeah,
think it's
take
cool too.
advantage of
Like,
that, ladies.
yeah, we've never had that, and now I see that like in my own gym that I own. We have the majority of the gym is female, and it's just that's an important factor in our gym is just supporting each other and
Yeah.
being there for each other, no matter what your experience or your age or whatever. But I did not have that, and I want to give them every opportunity that I didn't have, and
Yeah.
kind of have them not go through all the hard stuff that we had to go through.
Right.
So
It's totally different sparring with females. Not that some of them aren't just as good as the men or whatever, but it's totally different sparring on a female than it is with a male.
yeah, and you need it.
Yeah.
I've my last few fights, I've had great sparring with men and women. I spar my husband. We sparred 10 rounds on Monday, and he's been my sparring partner for like 20 years.
Yeah.
But I always mix in. I spar with a girl from Massachusetts, Leash Pike, who's an up and coming pro. I'll go with her, or there's a lot of amateurs around here that I'll spar with because I think it's great to have both.
Yeah.
And you box, you compete against a female, so you should spar a female. But
Absolutely.
we had one, maybe two girls in the gym when we were training at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, for you, what is it that you hope to be remembered for most when you do decide to officially hang them up for competing?
So I think for me it would be just, I think I always put a lot of heart into my fights. Um, you know, I had some tough fights along the way. I won some, I lost some, but I always had the heart there, and I always had the love and passion for the sport, as I still do.
Yeah.
When I talk about the sport and I train my fighters, I still feel that same love that I did when I started boxing. And I
Yeah.
think I want people to know that, the sport gave me so much, and it continues to. And I think like now also just being at my age, 47-year-old professional boxer, mama too,
Yeah.
like, I'm proud of that. And, I'm doing things that a lot of people can't do. And I think, just showing to people that, age is a number. And I think if you still have the drive and the passion and obviously health, that you can really accomplish anything.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what would be a phenomenal, I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking about it in my head, but would be such a phenomenal fight for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think maybe she probably could do 135. Is Chevelle?
Oh,
She's
yeah.
still fighting.
Is she
And
still fighting?
yes, 100% still fighting. She just was supposed to fight last Saturday, and she had 3 opponents lined up because they
Mm-hmm.
all kept backing out. And the day before the fight, the last one backed out, so she didn't
Oh
get
my
to
God,
fight.
are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously she's older too.
Yeah.
She has so much trouble having fights. She fought, I think, last year once or twice.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
But yeah, she was supposed to fight this year. But yeah, she really, really wants to keep fighting, but she can't get any fights. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. She she called out several people when we did our interview. What weight she told me, and I can't remember. She said she could 135 and up to like 147 or whatever it was, but she probably could get to 135.
Yeah. I mean,
That
let's
would be a
do it.
phenomenal
That
fight.
would be a great fight. I was really a few months ago I was really going after Heather Hardy because I think
Yeah.
that'd be another great fight, but unfortunately I don't think that's gonna happen. And for Heather and Chevelle and I think we're in a tough spot because we are older, we have the experience, and I think, I just they did a press release a few months ago, and I was like, I'd love to fight Sky Nichols.
Yeah,
But
that would be a good one.
nothing happened. I'll get in
I
there with
don't know what
anybody. I
it
don't
is.
care.
I don't know if it's all these young cats are just scared of the old heads, or if I don't understand it. Like, I really
Yeah.
don't. I mean, yeah, high risk, low reward. I get it,
Yes.
Michael, but it
That's
literally makes
exactly what
no
it is.
sense, because if I were one of those young up and comers and it was an icon
Mm-hmm.
such as you, Chevelle, I mean, the list goes on and
Heather,
on.
yep.
People, Heather, all of these girls. I mean, Melissa Hernandez, they came out of retirement.
Yep.
There's so
Although
many.
Chantel Cameron did fight her.
Yeah, and I take nothing.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
Cameron.
She's the one who stepped
but
up.
yes, these girls, I would have loved to add that name to my resume,
Yeah, absolutely.
because they're icons, they're idols. I get it. Yes, it's a risk, because you shouldn't lose to somebody that's that much older.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a risk, but it's a risk that's worth taking, because if you can get their name on your resume, granted, they might be like, oh, well, you should have beat her because they're older. I don't give a shit. The name's on my resume.
Right. And you learn. But I have to
And
say,
if guys
too, like,
do it.
that's the difference between what we went through and what women went through, what are going through now, is we never had the opportunity to have, like, I'm not saying they have padded records, but all these women are undefeated. We had to fight everybody.
Yeah.
And if you lost, like, losing is not the worst thing in the world. I'll tell you that, because I've lost fights, and every time I lose a fight, I've gained so much from it, and I think, some of these women need to see, like, it's hard out there, and you need to fight people like us to gain that experience. Win or lose, you're gonna get something out of it, and I think that's, again, that's kind of where what I'm looking for, that big fight, because I think I deserve it. I put my time in, and it's got to happen soon, because I am getting a little old and I'm getting a little tired, and it's way past my bedtime. I
you have to do it.
8:00. But,
ladies, give her a call. She wants all of you.
I'm ready. Whatever they want.
I'm gonna let Chevelle know too. She did have a fight lined up. I was so pissed when she put the post out the day before that it was canceled, and that was, and I had just talked to her, and that was, I think, the third opponent that backed out. I was like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Bonnie Man says, yes, that would be a good one. We have to find these both opponents. We do, Bonnie. I think that would be a really good matchup between you and Chevelle.
Yeah.
Honestly. You and Heather, her and Heather would be an awesome fight too.
I think that, honestly, that'd be like a Ward Gotti fight, but unfortunately.
Well, Heather, why is it not working? I mean, she's still fighting. I just interviewed her a couple weeks. She's still fighting.
No, she's fighting, and I think she, I don't think Heather is the kind of person that would back down from anyone. I don't think it's like a me thing. I think it's a money thing. And
she did tell me when we in the interview, at her age, because somebody, I can't remember who they said, they wanted to see her fight. Somebody, I can't think of her name now, but somebody that they wanted to see her fight, and they said it just didn't make money sense because they didn't have like a promoter or anything. So she's like, there will be no money in it. Like, I'm about money now. Like, if it doesn't make money sense, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I get at that age, like, she's already put in the time and all that. Like, she wants the big paydays.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat though. I've proven myself out of retirement. I've had some decent wins. I've had some great fights.
Yeah, you've had five or six fights.
1 or 2 fights left in me, and I think I need to get a big fight. And I'm not going to settle for anything less. And I respect Heather for that. And her and I are in the same boat. So her and I fighting each other would be incredible, but it's not a money fight, unfortunately. So we need to look beyond that. I think for me, it's like, I'm going to look for
Tiara Brown. Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah, for a certain point. And then I think, if I don't get what I want, maybe I'll take a retirement fight. But at this point, I'm in it to win it, and I'm, go big or go home kind of thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure. Michael wants to know what your thoughts are on 3-minute rounds.
I go back and forth. I actually did fight a pro fight 3-minute rounds, which was an accident in Boston. Oh my God, who did I fight? It was Marshall Kaufman's fighter. I gotta think back, but the timekeeper screwed up and put us at 3-minute rounds.
I've had that happen.
Yeah. So, I think it's cool. Like, I think if women want to do it, great. The reason why I like 2-minute rounds, number one is because anytime I go to a fight show and people watch female boxing, they're like, it is so exciting.
Yeah.
And I think that is, partially because of the 2-minute rounds. The other reason is, it is nice for us to kind of have our own thing too. And I think women, we go in there and we fight toe to toe for 2 minutes every round. I think that's really what a lot of people love. And, on top of that, we have the skill level. So I like the 2-minute rounds. I would, if I got a fight tomorrow and they said 3-minute rounds, I'd be like, sure, I'll take it. But for me, I like the 2-minute rounds because I like the fast pace.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of it, I think, has to do with that. But another thing I've always told people is I have nothing against 3-minute rounds. We all train 3-minute rounds. And I used to train 3-minute rounds with a 30-second break instead of a minute.
Yeah, that's what we do.
When we were training. But I'm not going to sign a contract for a 3-minute round fight unless I have 3-minute round equal pay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I already don't get paid. And now you want me to fight even more time for the same amount of money. Just doesn't make any sense to me. So
absolutely.
I would, that's where I always stood with it. I didn't have anything against fighting 3-minute rounds. I trained 3-minute rounds, so it was no problem. But yes, I agree. I think it would take away a lot of the action because people would settle and get comfortable and feel each other out more, and because you got more time. Like the men, where it gets boring sometimes watching because there's too much time. But also, there's absolutely no way I'm signing a contract for 3-minute rounds to fight even longer unless you're going to pay me the same amount of money you would pay dude over here for the same amount of time. Like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the extra risk to me unless you're going to get compensated for it.
Yeah.
Michael said they lack the experience you guys have gained. It's a different time coming up. There was a lot tougher opposition in your careers. Plus, you guys didn't back down from a challenge. Absolutely. Brenda Drexel. Yeah, Michael. Well, that's just because that was just our era and we were totally different.
Yep.
Amidst your comeback, though, what changes have you noticed in the boxing landscape compared to when you first started out your career?
Obviously we get more attention as females. It's easier to get on TV, get, headline as a fighter. I've come back and I've already been the co-feature, the main event in fights. I think the fans want to see more female boxing. And I think people respect us as athletes a lot more. Again, probably the worst things are, the money's not always there still. I own a gym and I work a lot, and sometimes when I fight, I feel like it's kind of a loss financially, and I'm still doing it because I love it and because I want to make my mark on the sport. But yeah, I would say just, I feel like people just respect us a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, looking back, is there any advice you would give to your younger self when you first started out in the sport?
Oh my God. I think, coming back as, an older boxer, I think for me, the hardest part was my confidence.
Yeah.
And, I did have that a lot of confidence issues when I was younger, but really like, coming out of retirement, I'm like, can I do this? Am I too old? As you get older as a woman, you definitely lose some of that. But I also, I had that when I was younger, and I think I actually started working with a sports psychologist for my last few fights, and which was super helpful. But I think I would just, tell my younger self to like trust in the process more, enjoy the process, and not take things so seriously, because I think if I had a bad day in sparring, it would like destroy me. And, now it's just, I think really think of everything as a learning experience and how can I improve myself.
Yeah, just brush it off and keep moving
Yep.
forward. Oh, he wants to know if Brenda Drexel was your 3-minute round fight.
No, it was in Boston. Brenda Drexel was incredible though. She was such a cool lady and such a tough lady. But no, like I said, it was Marshall Kaufman's fighter. She was actually dating Kermit Cintron at the time. Oh my God, what was her name? She was a really cool girl. And it was in Boston. I want to say in like around 2001, 2002.
Michael's probably looking at your record right now.
Yeah, you'd have to look it up. So
He'll figure it out. He's going to keep throwing it out there.
yeah.
But as someone who's achieved so much in the sport, and at the age of 4 to 7, I mean, I have to know, like, what keeps motivating you and pushing you to move forward and set new goals for yourself in the sport.
I would say first of all, my children, you know, and my husband and my family. You know, my daughter's 14 and my son's 10, and I think for them, like, you know, whatever they think about boxing is, you know, I don't know if they totally love it, but they just see how hard I work and my
Yeah.
drive and my dedication. And, you know, that's really coming through to them. And, you know, I can pass on those life lessons to them. And I think they, you know, they do appreciate what I'm doing and respect what I'm doing. And it drives them also. So I think
Yes.
that's like number one. I think, you know, just, you know, I love boxing. Like I love it. And I sometimes I wish I could get out of my blood. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Should I still be doing this? Or, you know, I wish I was doing something different, but I go to the gym every day and I'm surrounded by, you know, wonderful people. And I've met the
Yeah.
best people in my career. I train a lot of master boxers, which really inspires me because a lot of these women are, you know, over the age of 35 and 40, and they show up and all they want to do is have like an amateur fight. And
Yeah.
they train so hard and they all have kids and they all have jobs and houses. And these women, you know, really inspire me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do. They work. Yeah. I mean, I know lots of them that do that, but yeah, they work so hard. And I mean, you know how it was. I mean, back in our day, not only, I mean, we couldn't train full time. I mean, I worked a full-time job. I had kids,
Yep.
you know, it was like go to work, go to the gym with the kids,
Yes.
maybe 3 hours, grab a bite to eat on the way home, go to bed and do it all over again. Like they're,
Yep.
and I always used to, I laugh and I always tell people, I'm like, could you imagine what kind of fighter I would have been, or all of us back then would have been, had we had the opportunity to just train and
Oh
box?
my gosh. Yep.
Because none of us had that opportunity. I mean, there was very few, if any,
Yep.
that just boxed and like they could make a living off of boxing. So,
Yeah.
you know, we worked full time, we part-time trained, and we're mothers and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, could you imagine like and we were beasts back then,
Right.
how much more phenomenal we would have been had we just trained.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's
I
crazy.
can't even fathom it. It would be just unreal.
I think about, like, you know, after having my kids and boxing, and taking my son or my daughter with the carrier into the gym,
Yeah.
and having to breastfeed, you know,
Yeah.
and sparring, and like having to feed her, or the babysitter calls me and the baby's crying, you know, can you come back? You know, it's
It's
you know,
hard.
and then you're getting punched in the head and you're training, and it's, you know, yeah, obviously my kids are older now and it's much easier, but looking back, I'm like, how the hell did I do that?
Yeah,
Like,
it's hard.
you know,
And I mean, it
it's
takes,
so hard.
when they say it takes a village, I mean, and that's the one good thing though about boxing gyms,
Mhm.
it's a village and you're all family. So
Yeah,
I used to
absolutely.
take my daughter, my first one literally lived in the gym with, like, we
Yeah.
were always in the gym. If I wasn't at work, we were at the gym.
Mhm.
And so she was like, her first several years was raised in the gym. Like,
Yep.
and people would just, they helped. Like
Yep.
they would
And they
feature
love
and like
they
help
love the
and play
kids,
and
right? Yep.
yeah, I mean, that's
Yep.
just what it was. It wasn't easy. Connie Betchel or Reagan Pudwill.
It was Connie Betchel.
Okay, Connie Betchel. There you go, Michael.
Yep.
That was it.
Yeah, we fought 3-minute rounds, and both of us after were like, "Did that seem really long to you?" I think we
Yeah.
fought a 6-rounder, and then we found out that the timekeeper
At the time.
messed up with the time. Yep.
Yeah, it
But
was funny.
we did it, and we're like, we were fine. It
Yeah,
didn't
but
kill
you
us, and
noticed. I mean, you noticed the
we
difference.
did notice. Yep.
Mine was just a 4-round fight, I think, if I remember right. And it was after like the second round when I sat down, I said to my husband, I'm like, these are 3-minute rounds. Like these are long rounds.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, it's fine, but these are not 2-minute rounds. And then they switched it. They like must have
really?
realized they messed it up. So we fought 2 3-minute rounds and 2 2-minute rounds. So then they ruled the fight a draw because they messed up.
Oh my gosh.
I was so pissed.
Yeah.
Like, you should have just left it alone.
Left it at 3. You were fine.
Like, left it alone. Yeah.
Yep.
List as Michael said they listed the fight as 2-minute rounds.
Nope. It was 3.
See,
Definitely 3.
They're always messing up something.
Yep.
What do you feel is your biggest challenge you faced while making your comeback to boxing after such a long time?
I would say, just getting back into the swing of it. 8 years is a long time. A lot of people don't have that layoff. A few years before that, up until I came out of retirement, I was doing some bodybuilding. So 2 very different sports.
Yeah.
And I think the transition between the 2 was really hard. I was like pretty muscular and jacked when I came back, and from, training for, I competed in some bodybuilding, but that transition was really hard. And I think, as I said before, just second guessing myself with my age, like, can I do this? Should I be doing this? I think after my first fight, it helped, like, yeah, I can do this, but I had to go through that experience to see if it was even a possibility for me.
Yeah. And it is. I mean, you're doing amazing. I'm excited to see what's coming next. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you would like to discuss or let people know before we wrap it up today?
Man, let me think about it. I think just that I'm so grateful and thankful for my career, and it has not been easy, but it's so fun talking to you because, just thinking about all these memories and going back, I think women of our era we really created something special. And, I look at, the female boxers that I train now, and, they have it a little easier, but that was, we paved the way for them. And I'm sure you are, but I'm super proud of that and grateful. And it's okay that we had to go through that hard experience. I think that's what made us who we are today.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Which I always say is the one reason why I agreed to go ahead and do the show, was because I feel like that part of women's boxing has been lost somewhere along the way. And this new generation of fighters, for some odd reason, never pay tribute to past fighters like we used to do. Like, we always used to mention past fighters and like how we weren't the first, and all these people that came before us that paved the way for us to have the little bit of things we were getting, and just keep building the roadway to get it to where it is today. But people don't pay respects to past fighters anymore, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I think a lot of them feel like they made women's boxing. I'm not going to name any names, but there are some that I feel that way. But like I've always said, there would have never been Olympics without all of us that came before that, pushing for women in the Olympics, and all of these things that have happened since the first woman that ever stepped foot in a ring. We all did it. And I just wanted everybody's stories to be told, and hope that one day it really takes off and all these new generation of fighters get hooked on it and start learning.
Yes. Yeah.
from all of the past pioneers and fighters and their stories, and like just learn like the history of the sport, because
Hmm.
they didn't do it on their own, even though they may feel that way. And I just felt like it kind of got lost somewhere. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, all of these people's stories need to be heard, and they need to be put out there, and maybe put some of them in check, that there were people before you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been ages since I saw you in person. I thought about it and I was like, shit, I should have put the picture of us at the weigh-in that I took. I don't know. I can't even remember how long ago that was, and I can't even remember who I was fighting. But I met her at the weigh-ins decades ago. Probably it's been now, or a decade probably ago. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
decades.
Yeah.
But it was actually probably like in the beginning of my career. Veronica Jeffries was fighting on that card. I can't even remember who the heck I was fighting, but somebody.
Was that, where was that? Was
It
it?
was in New York, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yep. Yeah. Because I had a girl that was making her pro debut against Veronica.
Yes.
Yep. That was, oh my God, that was so long. I don't even know. That had to have been like 16, 17 years
Oh
ago.
my gosh.
Yeah.
We're showing our age.
That's okay.
It's okay. But yeah, it's been a long time ago. And then I was like, I still have the picture in my phone. And I said, shit, I should have put that picture up for your picture. But either way. But yeah, it's been a long time. And I was like, I'm trying to think of who I was fighting. I can't even remember. I just know it was in New York, but I fought New York like 2 or 3 times. So I don't remember which fight it was. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to wish for the best, that you get at least one big money fight within the next year. You definitely deserve it. And I'll be definitely watching.
Thank you. And I appreciate so much what you are doing for female boxing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you for coming on. It makes me so excited. But yeah, I appreciate it. Have a great night. Keep me in the loop, or I guess I'll see it in the news, but hopefully soon.
Yes.
Beginning of 2024, big things are coming.
I think so.
All right.
All
Good
right.
luck. Talk to you soon, Chant.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Thanks again so much. Live with no regrets. You too, Brooke. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, Bonnie. It's so made me so excited to see you here, and commenting. Women's Boxing Channel, as always. Thank you for joining in. Let's see. We had Bruce that was in here with us. Of course, Michael, as always, for throwing in the comments. Who else did I miss? Yeah, the Bruce Gas, thanks for joining. Join us again every Tuesday. I think it was my first time seeing you in here, so please make sure you join us every Tuesday. Share out the event, share out the shows and episodes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do, though, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share the episodes. Tell everybody about the show. We have some amazing, amazing guests on here on Tuesday nights. If you guys feel so generous, there is a donate button below that comes directed to me in the show, but don't feel like you have to do so. What I do, though, want you all to do, though, is share out the show and make sure you hit the like button. Set those reminders for every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and tell all your friends about it. These women are phenomenal athletes, women, mothers, anything you can name it. And their stories deserve to be out there and heard. And you can learn so much from every single one of them. So do make sure you guys are joining us every Tuesday night. I hope you guys enjoyed the show with me and Jamie tonight. We will see you all next Tuesday, same time, same place, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the next episode of No Punches Pulled with No Mercy. Me, of course. But until then, remember, punch hard, because nothing else matters. Have a great night, everybody.